In modern cinema, we've become so used to constant sound stimulation. When we view something that is missing these things or does not exploit them as much, it almost seems like something is missing or the film is incomplete. But that wasn't always the case. Welcome to an exploration of sound in cinema through the lens of Robert Bressons' pioneering techniques. To understand Bresson's unique approach, we need to turn to Michel Chion, whose insights in the voice in cinema reveal how vocal elements are often overlooked in favor of sounds and music. Michel Chion uses the term Acousmetre in his writing. It is described as the voice of a character whose source or body is hidden from the spectator. It possesses a mysterious power and omniscience due to its disembodied nature and control over the narrative. Bresson developed a sound hierarchy where diegetic sounds, especially those we can't see, take precedence. He believed that these off-screen sounds pull us deeper into the world of film. In The Devil Probably, the sound of the organ battling with a vacuum cleaner creates a sense of tension and dissonance, a reflection of Bresson's commitment to realism and his aversion to non-diegetic sound.
Nous voulons faire entrer le christianisme dans la vie moderne.
Pourquoi pas la vie moderne dans le christianisme?
On en a assez des vieilles formules.
D'ailleurs, des prêtres et des fidèles en recherche se réunissent journellement.
Affichez-nous la paix avec votre recherche.
Journellement, par petits groupes, avec des protestants pour préparer l'église de demain, construire un christianisme plus logique.
Bresson insisted on minimalism, a concept he called the minimum opening of the mouth when delivering lines. This restrained dialogue, paired with his sparse visuals, gives his film an understated yet powerful effect, making viewers more attuned to each sound and gesture. For Bresson, the voiceover was almost a contamination, a way to distance the viewer from the cinematic experience. Michel Chion echoed this sentiment, observing that a voice in cinema often feels detached, even if it's rooted in the character. Here, Bresson uses voiceover sparingly, maintaining intimacy with his characters and narrative.
Je n'avançais pas vite, à cause du bruit que je craignais de faire et dans la crainte continuelle d'être surpris. De plus, j'étais obligé à chaque instant de passer sous la porte un brin de paille de riz arraché au balai de ma cellule.
Fontaine, vous êtes là?
C'est vous, Thierry? Je vous retrouve comme vous m'avez manqué.
Bresson's attention to sound wasn't just conceptual, he focused on its physicality, the feel of sound within the cinematic space. The projection of loudness in The Devil Probably speaks to this, favoring resonances that echo the internal, the intimate. There's a philosophical depth to Bresson's treatment of the voice, one that resonates with Lacan's symbol of desire that represents an absence or lack, both enticing and frustrating, capturing a unique tension in Bresson's work. What then is the Bressonian voice? It's a voice defined by austerity, stripped down to its essentials. In The Organ and the Vacuum Cleaner, Bresson describes it as both direct and restrained, a reflection of his minimalist vision. This distinct vocal style influenced generations of filmmakers who saw in Bresson's voice a way to convey depth through simplicity. Bresson's view on sound, one of restraint and realism, has shaped how we perceive sound in cinema. His films invite us not only to watch, but to listen, to sense sound as something almost tangible. In psychoanalysis, the lost object represents a fundamental lack or void that we try to fill through various means. It is tied to our earliest experience of separation and loss, and it continues to shape our desires throughout life. Think about the moments in film where you are completely captivated, drawn in by something that you can't grasp, a lingering shot, a mysterious sound or voice that comes from nowhere. These elements tap into our unconscious desire for the lost object, or something that is just out of reach. It is not just about the story, but how the filmmaker uses sounds with visuals to evoke the deeper meaning within the self. The introduction of voice in cinema created a loss, a shift away from the purely visual. Silent films excelled in the use of visual metaphors since they could not rely on dialogue to explain complex ideas. They often use imagery to convey deeper meaning. These visuals allowed for a more poetic, symbolic way of storytelling. The visual metaphors tend to get lost in a film that is heavily reliant on dialogue. Bresson believed that voice in film was unnecessary. A good filmmaker should have the ability to show their message through the visual and not the auditorial. In this sequence, you are able to understand this sort of narrative in a way that can be seen by everybody. There's no language barrier that keeps key information away from the viewer. The lack of voice draws the viewer into the film, wanting more. However, while the introduction of sound in cinema may have created a loss, it also led to new possibilities for storytelling and artistic expression. It is important to acknowledge both the gains and losses that have occurred in the light of innovation. Here, we are seeing sound being used as an element of film itself, one to be manipulated by the filmmaker as an important aspect supplemental to the visual. The door slid open, silence crawling at my throat. Then the blaring alarms, like a ghostly note. A shriek in the stillness, the air thick with dread. Smoke coiled like serpents, wrapping around my head. Turning the corner, my pulse quickened in dread. A stranger, my roommate, where chaos now spread. Flames licked at the walls, a malevolent grin, my sanctuary crumbling, my new life within. It's through understanding these shifts and transformations we can truly appreciate the power of cinema. Think about the films that resonate with you. How do they utilize sound and visuals to engage your emotions and unconscious desires? As filmmaking becomes more reliant on technology to create spectacle, are we losing something essential to the art? Technology should be used to enhance the narrative, not to overshadow it. When we think about the films that stick with us, it is not the amount of CGI used that captivates us, but the emotional impact on our unconscious desires, fears, hopes, and vulnerabilities. It is not a question of, is technology good or is it bad, but rather, how is the technology being used? Is it serving the story, or is it becoming the story itself?